Hey, laughing. First blood. And Euler, what's up, brother?
Incoming transmission from E_Whaler.
Euler with it raining pennies. Dude, I had a pretty good weekend. I was just exhausted. That's why the stream's starting a little late. I was catching a nap before the stream because we were outside in the 172% humidity ATV riding today. And first time we've gotten to go in a long time. But man, that humidity was brutal. Laughing, he was doing some streaming. That's good, man. Ever had those moments where the dark side of the force calling you so strong? No, man, because I had this nasty freedom addiction and aversion to pound me in the pooper prison. Oh, the timer's up. Okay. Well, that's all right, because I'm moving slow. I fully admit this. What's up, guys? I hadn't even turned on... Actually, hang on. I gotta go into OBSEC mode real fast. Because I have not even set up my remote desktop connection yet. So hold on, we'll get that set up real quick. Gotta get my 2 or 3 streams for the quarter. Hey, hey Yato, what's up, man? Thanks for coming online. Give me 1 sec, guys. I know I'm in OBSEC just chatting mode. Let me get something set up real quick and logged in, and then we'll be good. Stand by 1 second. Appreciate your patience. I'm moving slow, man. Oh man, the humidity and the back of my hands are burned because like I had long sleeves on. I don't know if you can even tell, but like the sunburn stops like right at the watch, and it's all sunburned back here. Okay, there we go. Now we're looking. Now we're cooking with propane. Let's see here. Force reconnect this real quick. Hey, Salty, what's up, brother? How you doing, man? Dude, we took the kids out four-wheel riding today, and um, that was a lot of fun. And I haven't got to go with the kids in a long time. They've gotten to go one or two other times, but I haven't been able to because of various, life chaos. Speaking of which, sorry, I had to bail on Tuesday night's stream, kind of at the last minute. What happened was my mother's diabetic, and she had a pretty severe episode of hypoglycemia, low blood sugar. So she had to go into the hospital. I went to the hospital to go check on her, and also that same night, a fellow from my church who's got a great family, great wife, and 3 kids, suffered a pretty massive heart attack and passed away that day. So I went to go check on that family and make sure they were doing okay. So I was like, and this is a family who was really there for us during everything going on, and everybody at church was super supportive with everything that happened with my sister, with my dad, with Elijah. So I felt it was time to start giving back in that respect, and that's why I was like, hey guys, we gotta cancel tonight. I'm sorry, I gotta take care of some real world stuff. Dude, laughing, it's not even like the bad stuff was literally happening to me, though, but it's just happening to, people around me. And I was like, I'd be just really happy if everyone around me, was nice and bored for a long time. Damn, dude, you've been sick for the last week on top of, I had an 80-hour week. Ooh, that's rough, bro. I need to check something on here. So, by the way, we did get a response back on the issue that was opened. If I can find that. There we go. So the issue that was opened up over for RoboPages, Gangrene Temper Tantrum. Love the name. He had responded that it looked like it was working in respect for how he was doing it. So I'm going to do some checks on it, though. I think it's not quite functioning the way he's expecting in this respect here. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to test it, though. I want to see what's happening with it. Hey, Chris, what's up, man? Yeah, laughing. If everybody could just chill out and be content or bored, I would settle for either. That would be fantastic. I would like boredom to settle in over a lot of folks in my life. Everyone's grounded to the room. The world is a bad place. No one leave. Yes, exactly. Welcome to all your gilded cages. All right, so this fella here is saying that the volume with dollar working directories should work. And I believe in the example we sent him, that was what we had sent. However, it does not appear that he's doing this in Docker, though. Let me test the Docker environment to confirm if you're using the latest build from roughly 25 days ago. Oh, let me go see maybe there's a new version of the Docker container we need to pull down. Let's see, because the one we're using, yeah, let's go pull down the latest version of the Docker container. Maybe there's a difference with that. Docker, I hardly know her. Kill me laughing. Abisu, hey man, what's up? Thanks for coming. Welcome in, man. I love how you popped in and then you're like, just call me this. Awesome. We can work together. Let's see. Hold on. I gotta kill this though because we were using that that Docker container. Let me try something here. So if I got this running, okay, so if I run the RoboPages CLI, what was the command he actually ran? Let me double check that fast. So he was doing RoboPages run function GoBuster directory brute force, which this was cool. I actually did not know you could do this. Bam. So let's go try this real quick. Hold on. Who do you tell it? Run function. Actually, I'm not sure if this run function command here, I'm not quite sure exactly if it is going to try to talk to the RoboPages server or what it's going to try and do. I want to test it out though. What's this we're making? So, Abisu, what we're making here is a AI hacking bot. So this is a program, and I'll show you it here. This is a program, and it's up on GitHub if you want to go explore the code, but it's all written in LangChain. I'm sorry, in LangGraph. LangChain is a portion of that, though. And the idea here is, let's see if I can pull something else. Let me log in here real quick. I don't even know my own password. But what should happen here is there are going to be various agents for this, and it's going to be designed to play things like a capture the flag challenge, either doing hack the bot or try hack me. Hang on one sec. I've got to go find the password because I don't even know my own password in here. Let's see. Which is annoying when it logs me out like that. All right, there we go. Let's see if it will come up though. Ah, here we go. Let me just do this. So generally, this is what the workflow for the program. I just call it Hackbot. But what it's going to do is it should be taking some user input and then basically preparing things. Stinger here is the supervisor, and then we have each of these different agents, which are essentially steps in the penetration testing lifecycle. Doing some reconnaissance, doing enumeration, and then finally exploitation is the next portion of the agent that we're working on here. Right now, these agents are kind of like just standalone. Eventually, these agents will actually have their own team of agents that they can call on to do specific tasks. So like say, for example, for recon, we find that they've got, or there's a need for doing like open source intelligence gathering. So recon might run a tool like bbot. So we'd have to go through and we could configure bbot to do that. Or I'd say more importantly, let's say like enumeration. Let's say we find out that they've got an Azure, they don't call it Azure ID anymore. Entra ID, which is Azure's Active Directory rebrand. But if they got that, then maybe we want to have enumeration targets in here. And then, so let's say, for example, as we're going through this cycle, eventually we find out that, hey, by the way, our new account that we've exploited on this system had access to, has the Entra ID mapping to it. So now, cool, we're going to make a new task. We want to pass that over to enum and say, hey, enum, go enumerate their Azure instance and take a look at that and see, can we find data in there that's going to necessitate expanding our objective. Right now, the user input is simulated. It's not actually, there's no user interface. This is one provided by Langsmith. Eventually, though, there will be an interface where we can actually chat with it and tell it what it's doing, or tell it what to do, and it will tell us, okay, here's exactly how I'm proceeding, lines it out, and then we can come through and give it guidance if it gets stuck, and basically just tell it, hey, here's your objective. That is the IP address, or that is the host name. Go hack it. And it should go through, and it should get a like a basic user shell, and then do a privilege escalation to get a root shell. What level of function are we at with this right now? I can run it for memes later on some Hack the Box. It's very non-functional right now, laughing. Very non-functional. I have the one I'm using right now. In fact, thank you for reminding me, because I'm probably logged out of this too, because every other platform loves to log me out. Let's see. So what we're doing is we're using the root me box up on TryHackMe. That's our test case. The simplest of simple, which the get a shell part would be the exploitation agent. And this is how we're going to be doing it. But it's so non-functional right now, laughing. It is still very early development. Only 2 of the 4 agents are completed. The third one is taking the longest because we have to figure out a way to let the agent develop a trial and error process, because there's never in a pen test, you're never going to look at something and say, hey, I know exactly how to exploit this. You might occasionally if it's a super old system. But for the most part, we've got to be able to let the agent, and we're working on a little bit of background processing to happen for this. But we've got to find a way to let the agent go through and come up with hypotheses and then test those and then validate that finally it did get code execution. That is the goal for the exploitation agent. But then also the exploitation agent's job is not only to get code execution, but then to get repeatable code execution with a C2 agent. So that will largely be part of what happens with PostEx. I haven't quite decided yet if that will be part of the post-exploitation agent or the exploit agent itself. It might be that we let PostEx handle that. I haven't decided yet. I think that probably would go into the post-exploitation agent. If we look at the little code snippet here, in the Stinger state, where is it? No, correction. It's in the host class. So in the host class, notice we have something in here. We have a placeholder for initial access, the initial access exploit, which this should be some kind of piece of executable code that we could run again and be able to go get initial code execution. So with this single piece of data, what I'm hoping is we can take that whenever the exploit agent hands off to PostEx, then PostEx can use that piece of information right here and then go get a C2 agent established on the system. Hey, Sassy, what's up, man? Let's see. Do you think LangGraph is better than writing the code in Python? I mean, hey, I get the abstraction. Agents are great, but the dependencies are what kills that for me. It actually, I mean, that's really what LangChain and LangGraph are supposed to do. I mean, you could go write your own code to handle all these things. What they're doing is they're abstracting out a lot of the very low-level basic stuff, like, hey, getting data with like a system prompt and a user prompt to and from the various language providers. So like Google, Anthropic, OpenAI, whatever, Microsoft. So that's what LangChain is doing. It's just abstracting that part. LangGraph is then built on top of LangChain, and it's handling the orchestration between the agents themselves. You don't have to use those frameworks. They're very popular frameworks, though. That was part of the reason why they were picked for this project. Another reason being that they're in Python, which is the language I chose for this project to have like an exercise in developing code from scratch. Something I don't do very frequently and I'm not very good at, and I wanted to bolster myself on, especially if I'm going to be trying to work on some other things in the future. In fact, this has already paid off because I needed to do a little bit of data munging during the assessment that I'm on. And what I did is I literally just stood up a Python, what's it called? A notebook. I just stood up a notebook and was just stepping through it and just really quickly using Python to just churn through that data real fast.
So it was kind of helpful in that respect. It wasn't a ton of data. It was just way more than I wanted to use a spreadsheet for. Yeah. So Sussy, LangGraph is built on top of LangChain. If you're using LangGraph, you are using LangChain in some respects. Okay, let me go back to this real quick. So the issue we're running into with this, to refresh everybody from last weekend, is we need some way to create predictable execution environments, because all of our various YAML files, so like this GoBuster YAML file here. Ah, my nose is itching. This GoBuster YAML file here, when the GoBuster action, basically, or function is run, we need a way to pass it in this volume, which says, hey, this is the working directory, and it goes to data. And then that is used right here. This is where we want this to happen. So we need this linking to happen right here. So what should have happened is, when running it with Docker, you can pass in the TAC-E option and tell it, by the way, I want the working directory to be the present working directory, is what we're doing. We're basically just doing a little bit of command substitution here. The reason for this is because we look at this. Let me clear this out. If we look at in Hack the Bot, there's a RoboPages folder in there now. I'm trying to get everything self-contained into the program. But in here, this is where we put all the resources for RoboPages. So data will have things like our word lists in here. And then working, I forget what I did with that. I don't know why that's folder in there. It'll probably go away. But so we needed a reproducible way to say, hey, by the way, it's not some static spot on disk. It's in the project folder itself. GoBuster, you hardly busted her laughing. That's what happened. The LangChain core dependency is annoying. It used to be just one dependency in there, Sussy, and then what happened is they realized that wasn't very sustainable, so that's why they busted it out into individual pieces. So that's why you have like core, community, Anthropic, OpenAI. It used to just be LangChain, and that was just a big monolithic beast. But they realized they couldn't sustainably continue that development. That's why they busted it out. The concept behind the state flows behind LangGraph is better. Gotcha. Once I figured out that, because everybody was always talking about the state table, this guy right here, as if it was some like mysterious event, and they always just used this built-in messages state table that comes with LangGraph. But you don't have to do that. You can see here we just defined a typed dictionary class, and we called it Stinger State. Really could have been called whatever, and it just passes everything through there. It's just it's like a book with all your information written on it. Hang on one sec, guys. All right, I'm back. Stock was coming to check on me. She's like, do you need like some electrolytes or anything? And I was like, no, I think I'm okay. I had taken some when I was at the, because she knew I was exhausted and like kind of burned up from today. I was like, no, honey, I'm doing fine. Thank you.
Shut up, baby. I know it.
And then when she was done, I was like, it's okay. Come here. Give me a kiss. Give me a smooch. And she's like, I'm off the camera. I was like, oh, yeah, camera's off. And she gives it, and I was like, psych! Got you.
Bullshit, I can't hear you. Sound off like you got a pair.
Salty, you give me trust issues, brother. You tell me that. Yeah, I need some coconut water. I gotta have that high quality H2O. All right, so I want to go. I don't feel like I'm winning, but you know what? I'm definitely not losing, Sussy. Yeah, she's awesome. I don't know what I did to deserve. I don't know what I always tell her, I don't know what I did to trick you into marrying me. And she always thinks it's the other way around. But I was like, no, you don't understand. I Jedi Judo mind flipped you to make you think that you convinced me to marry you. So you know that I know that, and I know that you know. But we both know this is not how it works. All right, let's see. Okay, good. Box came up. So the RoboPages server is up right here. Actually, you know what I want to do is... Let me look at something real quick. Let's double check something. So... Jeez, where is it? With Mythic running, it kind of obfuscates everything. Okay, here's what I want. I want this value right here. So this is the container ID. And what I can do is I can Docker exec into that container. So let's do it. Docker exec in interactive terminal. And I think put the container and then what we want. So we'll run bin bash. There we go. So if we do like a PS, POS. So I'm inside the container now, right here. So I do a PS. We've got batch and PS. What? That is not correct. That's that. SS? Don't have any of that? Hold on. PID? Crap, what is it to echo your process ID? I forget what that is. Echo check process ID. I forget what it is. I don't want to pipe grep find Firefox. Kill smells. They use the force on her. Yeah. Why do you think we've got kids? Who am I kidding? She's the one who tricked me. Does the Jedi mind trick on me. I just realized why my typing is so raw, because my keyboard was out of position. What is triactin, Lappin? I don't know what that is. Something's funky in here, because there should have been something else running in here. Let me try it by name in here. Usually you can give it the container ID, but let me try the container name. Nifty Da Vinci. Let me see. Docker. Docker exec. Interactive terminal. And then... yeah, Nifty Da Vinci and run bin bash for me. Ah, there we go. I forgot because it was only showing the ones for this login session. Here's the one I wanted. So this is PID 1. And now here's a trick that I forget how to do it each time, but there is a way to... what you can do is you can get the env variables from a PID in Linux. Try acting like a man. Ah! Got him! That's brutal weapon. Thank you. I want you to know that. I am devastated now. Let's see. There we go. That's what PSE TAC P PID. Okay. I think that will give it to me. So, oh no, it's TAC P, and then the PID. So we'll want PID 1. It looks like it started to spit them out, but then like cut it off. What the heck? Yeah, see, it's starting to display it, but then for some reason... Oh, I don't think this actually does give it to me the way that I wanted it. We check this again real quick. What's this? Let's see, it should be proc PID environment. I think that's what I was looking for. Proc PID environment. So I think if we look at /proc, PID is 1, and then environ. Really? Let's see. I can't type. There we go. Okay, so yeah, working dir is being set in there. Error. But you know what the problem is here? Oh, I'm an idiot. Why didn't I recognize this last weekend? So what's happening is the environment variable is being passed over to the Docker container. Yep, okay, hang on. I realize what's happening now. So the problem is this working directory is being passed. GoBuster is picking it up. The problem that's happening here is it's then whenever it runs in the container, it's trying to pick up the present working directory of the host, not the Docker container. That's where it's dying on me. All right, so we're gonna just re-architect this a little bit. Let's see. Hey, Simply, what's up, dude? Let me tell you about an interesting experience I had. I was hiring for a role on traffic engineering, like K8's networking. With security, there was a guy around 21 years old, but speaker of a major criminal conference. Nice. That's pretty good for 21, man. That's awesome. Also spoke at Black Hat and DEF CON and some working patents on traffic control in the kernel. What? That's nuts. Not sure you're allowed to interview such people or just hire them. I mean, you still want to interview them. Or, I mean, don't get me wrong, yeah. Even if the interview is very informal, like if I was the hiring manager for that role and you slid that resume across my desk, I'm going to go talk to that person personally. And I'm going to get to know them. And at most, once I can see like, hey, this is what I know that if I understand the role correctly, let me back up a bit. If I'm the hiring manager and I'm hiring for this role, I feel like Twitch amped up their ads again. Yeah, maybe. I wouldn't surprise me because I think they're hurting for ad revenue right now. There's some kind of, there's all sorts of like, feels like there's a new adpocalypse every so often. That's why I just do it for fun. I don't live off this. But anyway, so back to your question, Sin. If I was hiring for a role like that, I still want to go vet some of the stuff that they have told me. So like if I'm, as the hiring manager, if I'm technical enough to handle that, I worked through those trenches and they came up and I understand the full technical side of it, I'm just going to go talk to that person one-on-one. And then at most, I might have them talk to like a couple of people on my team. Like, hey, can you mesh with the folks on my team? Or is it going to come in and it's just going to be sandpaper all over the place? Because that's not going to be helpful for anybody. One of the things I've always kind of adamant about is unless a person needs to work 100% solo, like they do not have any coworkers, they report directly to me, I'm not going to hire what I would call the jerk genius. I want somebody who's actually going to be able to function well on the team, even if they are not necessarily the absolute best candidate. If I can find an excellent candidate that is abrasive to the team, I'm going to pass them up for a great candidate who works extremely well with the team. That's a big, important part to that. I don't think you can optimize to prevent pre-roll anymore. I'm trying, dude. It used to be like if you ran 90 seconds of ads twice an hour, but basically like if you ran 90 seconds of ads, there were no pre-roll every 30 minutes, and that's what I do. All coding's collaborative back. Okay, yeah, I mean, dude, yeah, and especially if you're doing coding, and then you would want your code bases to be collaborative because you never want to you don't want to put your respective reproductive organs in the vice by allowing one person to be the master of the code base. And that has and does happen. There's stories about it on our tech support on Reddit, where somebody who was the sole maintainer of some company critical asset, they piss off and he leaves, and things invariably break. And then what happens? They have to come hire that person back at triple their rate as a contractor. And then the company, just by their short-sightedness, gets basically BTFO'd. I'm the opposite, the jerk dumbass. I'm just the friendly dumbass. I will count that to the swear jar, by the way. But I had to count it. Already up to 23. Dang. Okay, so the problem here is we want to change this to... Actually, I don't think we even have to change this because... Let me think about something here. So this in theory should be working right here. However, the problem is RoboPages as a server is spawning separate Docker containers, right? So I had this drawn out from last time, but hang on. Let me wipe out what I've done. Let's kind of work through this again fast. Let's kind of architect the problem just a wee bit. Right here, just like that. All right, so what's happening is here on our server, what's happening is we are forking a Docker container here. And this Docker container right here is running the server for RoboPages. Let's just say RoboPages. So this is actually running RoboPages. But then this Docker container is actually the one responsible for spawning another Docker container. And this is, let's say, for whatever tool that we're executing, right? So from the server, we pass in, not $win. This would be a $working directory. That's our working directory right there. So what we need, though, is this value that when this Docker container, because these Docker containers actually just run on the same server, it just happens that this Docker container is actually talking to the server to spawn this Docker container. So these two aren't nested, they're parallel to each other. Just the execution of this container happened from within this container. That's why we pass in this Docker sock right here. This is what allows it to do that. Hey, Gilby, what's up, man? Well, happy Saturday, everyone, by the way. Team fits are at most needed, even though the person is good, needs to work with the humans on the team. Yeah, I completely agree, man. That's one of the things I think that my current company has done a really good job on, because they've been doing a lot of hiring lately. And they've done a really good job of, like, making sure that folks that are coming in are going to basically fit in and be able to work with everybody very well. I was an intern at 2 Sigma for like 5 years, and a lot of issues were ego and sociologically based. Yeah, I believe that, man. I've worked at those places too. I think everybody has them. The last place that I worked at where that was really bad was the mortgage servicing company. It was horrendous there. Is there a Debian fork for Clippy so I can have Rogue Clippy running around my Kali desktop? That'd be awesome. They weeded me out, so how bad could they be? Dude. There's a lot of folks that I think could have been really good that just the culture fit's not good. That's an important thing inside of a company. All right, so the kicker here is so I'm trying to think how I want to do this. We could actually test this out. I was coming to think of it. What we could do is we could pass this. If this will actually run, let's say I got to check it out real quick. I'm not sure exactly how this is going to function because I've never spawned a container like this before. So what he was doing was he was doing RoboPage's run in here. I don't know if it's running this page locally or if it's actually spinning up in a Docker container. It looks like it might be just running locally. Like he didn't say he was running the server in here. But one thing we actually could do to test this though, we could go into the RoboPage's server container and we could try doing RoboPage's run in here. That might be some way to simulate this. But what I was thinking is, one thing we could do is we could try running the Python exec in here and let that spin up a new container. And basically the code that we send the Python execution tool is just an infinite loop. We just give it like a long sleep on an infinite loop and it just will hang there. We can go then into the container and we can inspect it. That's what I'm thinking that we'll do. Let me try something real fast here. So we do have the working directory. It tells us where that's going to be. If I remember correctly, actually, hang on, before I test this, let me try one more thing. Over here in our last trace, I believe we got stuck in a loop where it could not run GoBuster. Yeah. Yep, that's what it was. Data wordless web quick hits. So what we'll need to do here, we've got to make an adjustment to it. In which case, this would be /data. Wait, why is it trying to find it there? Let's look at this again. So our volume should have it here. This should be static. Because it was trying to hit data wordless web quick hits. That should have been no problem. But it's saying it didn't exist in here. So our working directory to data did not hit this. Yeah, I think I want to try this. We might just have to go build a... Think about this. We might just have to go build like a real quick call to the server that says, hey, here's what I want you to run. Let's do it. Let's do this. Let's go to... Let's run the RoboPage's CLI. It's going to do attack H. Let's zoom in on this. So we can run execute a function from RoboPages, serve, install view. Let me try if there's maybe an option to tell it to run from the server, or if it's going to run locally. Reading about superconductivity. Nice, man. All right, dude. Thanks for stopping in, Sussy. I appreciate it, man. You have a good night. Oh, man. Superconductivity. Getting those electron pairs flowing. Let me try this. Docker run, and then we tell it what the function here, name is here. Actually, let me come over here real quick. Let me restart the VPN and go get the new IP address. All right, so we got that going. That's not where we were. Here's where we were. All right, so the function that we want to run, we grab the name of that real fast. So I don't want to type it all out. Let's see. Filter directory brute force. Target. Let's get our IP address from our system here. Do HTTP, and then drop in, not that. Drop in the IP address. Okay, cool. Actually, look at this. It will do docker bin run data. Okay, so it should, in theory, be working. It's going to fail, though, because... this says it contains invalid characters. That's also because we have not set that on the CLI. What we're doing is we were setting that in the server. So let me go try this. I'm going to copy this here over to the CLI. And then let's try that. So we're going to tell it that the working dir is going to be the present working directory. All right, so target was... what's the target? Lost it. Let's copy that real fast. So weird. So creating $working dir, standard error failure. Was that the error we were getting last time? Let's see. No, it actually was still trying it. It was just trying to hit data wordless web quick hits, which should have been in the correct directory. That's no problem there. And this might sound boring as sin, like, why are we debugging this? Well, we're debugging this for two reasons. One is because I need to fix it for the program. Two, this is a real-life problem you will run across on a penetration test. You're going to be trying to run some kind of tool, and you're going to have to run it in a non-standard way, and you're going to run into crap like this all the time. 100%. Guaranteed. Stamp of approval. So, understanding this process, and that's the reason why I bang the drum constantly, you need to understand how the technology is working first before you try to hack it or try to use it on an engagement. This is why it's important. Sir Elfman, what's up, dude? Do you have tips to secure a dedicated server from bad people? Using UFW. It depends on, what you're running on the server. Are you serving up something on it, or is it strictly for like your personal data use and you just have SSH open? You got Nginx, and it's running your website. Okay. Is your website running any kind of code? Like, are you running PHP? Are you running Ruby on Rails or anything like that? Or is it just like, hey, this is my static blog site that I'm doing? Okay, it's hosting some web apps you made. Got it. The main thing you want to do is just make sure that those web apps... First thing I would do is... okay, yeah. Got some PHP, Go, and Rust web apps. So if you really wanted to actually go down... Actually, let me ask you another question. What's the thing you're trying to secure it from? Just some random bad person coming across on the internet? Or do you have like a specific, hey, this is exactly who I think is the type of person that's going to try and break into my server? Because understanding your threat model is a very important aspect. Look, think about spammers, etc. I think I already messed up all the web apps run under the same user in Ubuntu. That's not necessarily a bad thing, especially if they're running as like TripDub's data. That's pretty standard, and TripDub's data is a restricted user. In most, it's limited context to just the system there, or to basically just stuff with the web server. I'd say a couple things you could take a look at is if you're just trying to keep like your general spammer person out of there, just do like a very basic authentication. And so if you're wanting to expose the applications out to the general public, that's a different story. If you're giving them out to individuals, like, hey, oh yeah, you're my buddy, here's the password. Here's how you can log in and you can go access these web apps. Just put it behind a very simple password. That's going to stop 99.999% of spammers. Why? Because there's already a ton of stuff that's already been popped and has never been fixed out on Shodan that somebody else could just easily go through onto Shodan, find out where it is, and re-exploit it, and then they could send their stuff out from that. There are much easier targets than you. I do run the latest Nginx, which I made sure is run from mainline. Nginx is going to help you a bit because obviously then they're going to have to try to go through that to get to it. Nginx actually really doesn't have a lot of bad exploits to it. It's a fairly well-written, it's a very well-written program. So I used to see it all the time and I kept trying to find issues with it. There's not really any. There was a very theoretical one that came up that was kind of a bummer because it had ridiculous preconditions that you needed certain modules enabled. It was pretty much a non-issue, and that's what you run across with Nginx a lot. The more likely thing is any vulnerabilities that exist inside of your apps that you have made. So especially if they're running code on the underlying side, I'd say for something like on the PHP side specifically, if you have errors where they could do, you have unsanitized input. So that's actually, I'd say that's probably the number one thing you could do is just make sure that you sanitize all the input that comes in. If you're not expecting special characters in a field, don't accept special characters. If you're only expecting numbers, sanitize it to strip out everything that's not a number in there. And if you're only expecting text, do the same thing. Never trust the data from the end user. The end user are the dirty, unwashed masses, and you must always sanitize everything they give you. I use prepared statements from a PHP database code. Good. That is an excellent thing to do. Other than that, just make sure you're not exposing more than you need to, right? If the web app doesn't need to have like a management admin page exposed out to the internet, make sure you block that in your Nginx profile. Actually, let me show you something real quick here, Elf. Have you seen the OWASP top 10 before? I want to install MySQL soon, and that scares me a lot. Gotcha. Let me ask you this. Who's your target audience for the web apps that you are hosting up there? Are you just allowing them to be available out to the whole world, or are you giving them out like to maybe certain individuals that are your friends? Let me zoom in on this, by the way. Our good old friend OWASP top 10. Just for friends and I for now? Okay. What I would do is in your Nginx config, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe what you could do is you could have a very simple authentication page that says, by the way, if the user does not present a particular cookie, then they get directed to the authentication page. And the authentication page could be something very simple. It's like prompting them for a password. And then if they submit the correct password, you issue them a cookie. And when they have that cookie, then if Nginx can see, hey, by the way, yeah, they've got the cookie and we can validate it. So you can do a very simple authentication page that then allows them to go through and reach your other web applications. That could be one way to do it. But really, I'd say if you want to understand it, looking at something called the OWASP top 10, which is the top web app security risks that you can face, will actually go through and help you understand what different issues and different places they could exist inside your application. Like, for example, broken access control, or if there are cryptographic failures, or different types of injections. So this is probably the one that people are most scared of, right? So like, for example, an application is vulnerable to injection, like if user supply data is not validated, filtered, or sanitized by the application, dynamic queries or non-parameterized calls without context-aware escaping are used directly in the interpreter, things like that. So this will give you an idea of, hey, this is where I'm going with this and things I can look at on my own application. and you can just go right down the list. Like, okay, what can I do with this? Access control might even be an issue for you if it's basically everybody's running as the same user on here. Oh yeah. Here, let me send you this link here real quick. And the good thing about going through this process yourself, especially like on your self-hosted applications, if you're trying to use that page as, let's say, part of your portfolio, you want to be a full-time web developer and you want to go show off this stuff, you can include these activities that you did. Hey, by the way, I went through and applied these security checks mapping to the OWASP top 10 to help secure my web apps that you're about to view as you send them to a prospective employer, whatever the case is. Always be taking the things that you do and applying them to future endeavors. And plus, once you run through this, you might not remember all the steps, but you're going to understand the process. And then whenever it comes up again, because it does, history doesn't necessarily repeat, but it rhymes, then you know, hey, I know exactly one thing I can do. I can go check this out here. And then you can start kind of building on that knowledge. Their portfolio apps, perfect, dude. Because if you start saying, hey, by the way, here's all the security features I built into this application, and you can mention those in there too, that goes a long way. For me, I mean, I am biased, don't get me wrong. I've got rose-colored security glasses. But if I was hiring a developer and they told me, hey, by the way, I went out of my way to apply security for good practices, and even if you could highlight, like, by the way, running through this process, I identified an issue with this, where there was a vulnerability, and I was able to correct it by following this process. That's going to be a big extra gold star. Okay. So back onto this topic of how we're tracing this. Let's see. So for some reason, where did I lose? I lost my terminal here. So for some reason, when it's trying to spin this up, for some reason, create working dir data gets an error in here. I don't know why it's throwing this fault though. That's so weird. I use cryptographic algorithms for one of my projects. I spent maybe a month researching and thinking about the proper use of ECDH. Oh, nice, man. Got some of those elliptic curves. Ain't no curves like elliptic curves. Dude, yeah, I like crypto. I'm a big old math nerd, so. Yeah, one of the things that can often bite you in the butt, Elfman, is, well, one thing that will bite you in the rear and just like tear that thing off and chomp on it is rolling your own crypto. There are libraries that implement a lot of different cryptography algorithms, and those are generally considered the trusted ones. And the reason for that is because they are so crucial, they are heavily audited and just beat to death. So rule number one is probably best not to roll your own crypto. And number two is make sure you understand the strengths and weaknesses of that cryptography so it gets implemented correctly. The example I always like to use for that was WEP, WEP, wireless encryption. That was actually a very strong protocol. RC4 is not bad, but the problem was they had a 2-byte initialization vector, which made brute forcing it completely trivial. Instead of 2 bytes, if they had used 4 bytes, right, and made it 64-bit, there'd have been no way. But because they skimped out and they did 2 bytes, there were only 65,536 combinations. That was trivial to brute force. Even with the crypto libraries, it's super easy to mess things up. Absolutely, it is. Crypto, it's kind of like one of those things of once you've got it set, you're like, okay, don't touch it. Don't breathe on it. Just let it be. Let's see. So this is coming through here. So what's the error that we're having here? You intended to pass a host directory, use an absolute path. So why is it running like this? I don't get. Let me try something real quick. I'm going to go over to, let's go find the Python robo page real fast. Let's see, coding, Python exec. Because what I'm going to do is, I'm basically going to duplicate this portion right here, the volume. So I'm going to add this as a volume to it. What was that nested under? That was nested under container. Yep, right here. Let's take this back, drop the volume in here. Okay. So what we have to do is pass it code. What we'll do is we'll make a quick Python code to just sleep for, I don't know, 5 minutes. We'll say like sleep 300 in here. Is that a standard library? I'm not even sure. So import time times sleep. Okay, perfect. Easy enough. Let's go try this real quick here. So I'm gonna save this real fast. So what I did is I added this volume here. Save this to, oh no, why do I still have that up? Sorry for the flashbang. So let's do our, I think it's just exec. Python exec, what is it? Function Python exec, that's why. Got the wrong one. Code to import. So we'll do import time, and then time dot sleep 500. Proceed. Okay, so we get the same error here where it's trying to create it. So we know from the server up here, we hopped into the server, we know that the environment variable is being passed in there. For some reason though, this is where it's throwing an absolute hissy fit with this right here. Got some hacks to work on. All right, Euler, have a good night, brother. Good to see you again, dude.
Incoming transmission from me_Euler.
Yeah. His transmission is, here, have a penny, kid. Penny for your thoughts. Have y'all noticed that, by the way, if you, I don't know if y'all are, any of y'all played Dungeons and Dragons, but like all the spell components are just memes. Like there's a spell called Read Thoughts, and literally the spell component is a copper coin. It's literally just a penny for your thoughts. Let's see. Yeah, I thought so funny. And there's a lot of other examples of it. That's just the one that I've anchored on laughing that I remember. All right. So why is it throwing... You know what? Actually, I just realized why that is. Back over to GoBuster. I think the problem is we haven't escaped this. Let me try something here. I think it actually needs to be like that. Come to think of it. Ah, crap. What was the... Killing me, Smalls. There we go. I don't want to type all this out again. That's so weird. So it was working for... Okay, so let's back this up a bit. So we got one response from one of the contributors that, hey, by the way, this was working for me here, having it set like this. Instead, when he was running it... Oh, wait, actually, you just notice this. He tried to run it, but he said it actually didn't run. No, it looked like it did. See this? So it looked like it kind of ran when he had a working directory using a $working directory. However, it's not what I'm seeing. Still trying to bust her? Yeah, I am in. I'm just a buster. It's all right. She said she don't want no scrub. I understand. So to refresh everybody, the reason why we need this to work is because since all the tools are spawning in Docker containers, we need a reliable way to pass into those containers the tools that will be used and where they are, like the data that will be used, like word lists and where they are stored in here. So we need to keep an accurate list of what all those word lists are. So for example, in the GoBuster one, this is hard-coded right now. We're telling it exactly which word list to use, but we've got to find a way to get this word list from our package over here into the Docker container. So that's what we're trying to chain together right now. And let me look at the example I sent in the actual PR. So we sent like this. Volume is $working dir. And just for sanity's sake, let's see here. So yeah, we're passing in the working directory as the present working directory. So where we run this script from, it should work just fine. So why is it complaining that that volume is not good? I think this might be the reason why. Actually, hold on. Let's take a look at something. So when he responded back, it said it was executing user local bin docker tac v. Yeah, so this should have worked. Let's take a look real quick. Docker images. So where's our latest one for robo pages? Right here. This is the image ID right here. So here's the latest. Let me check something real quick. Docker PS. And let's look at that container. So if we do a Docker container, we can see which one it's using. And we want... I think it's inspect. Yeah, inspect nifty. There's the Docker ID. Here's the image hash right here. So the image we want to be using is 43AB15. And that's the one we're using. Okay, so it's running the latest version in here. That's no problem. So we're running the latest copy of the Docker container. So I'm going to actually remove this one. Let's do Docker, I think it's image RM. Yeah. Image is being used by a stopped container. What? Killing me, Smalls. Container, the LS, is that it? Yeah. Now we're talking. Okay. This one's up 58 minutes ago. Oh, it's this one. I gotta delete this container. Exited 3 months ago. Oh, yeah, let's get rid of that. Let's do Docker container rm. That, there we go. And now we should be able to actually go kill the old image. Awesome. Make sure we got the correct one. All right, sweet. We now have... Yep, we have the correct version here, created 4 weeks ago. Kill this one real quick. We'll go ahead and serve it up one more time. Let's do this again real quick. So the code we want is import time. We do time sleep 100. Okay, so look at this. For some reason, in our system, let's look at this real quick. So in his output here, so this is odd because look at this. Whenever he gets to the yes/no prompt, this is what we're seeing right here. All right, let's go send him an update real quick. Go copy this. And let's go give him a quick update on this. Oh, what's up? Let's see. I tested again with the, let's see, Docker function command. Not Docker function, which is Robo Pages. Robo Pages, that's what we want. Through a wrapper to execute everything in Docker. What is this? This is a shell, I think. And then, let's see. Give an example of the command we ran. So the command run was actually, we can just come up here with this. Yep, let's just copy that real fast. Why are my windows getting all out of work? The variable wasn't subbed in. Actually, I think I need to modify this because when we had this originally, we didn't have it wrapped like that. We just literally had $work directory. And this one had it wrapped. So let me go for a sanity check. Let's go rework this. Save it. I'm going to try it one more time. Yeah, so it's still doing the same thing, even without that. I'm just going to take this out, because it still works the same way. Make sure this is going to look... Do that. It's good when he did that. Dash. There we go. Yeah, it still works the same. All right. So let's see. Yeah. So we will tell it wasn't subbed in. Returns an error about the volume name. Well, just I'm trying to provide him as much information as possible. Anytime you're working with somebody up on GitHub is always a good idea. Just gonna redo this. And then we'll move on to doing other stuff. Because I don't want to. I feel like this should not be an issue, and for some reason it is. See, because this is so completely different. We have a very similar setup, however, when this runs is actually where we get the issue with it. Actually, you know what? So there's a bit difference here. I'm running this with Python exec. We added this to it. I always try to be as vague as possible, so while they're trying to find my problem, they can fix other ones in the process, so it's more efficient. Laughing, you're what drive open source developers to drink. Let's see. Actually, you know what? I want to do this a little bit differently, just to be as spot on as possible. Okay, GoBuster still has this, so let's go ahead and do that real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and do it with GoBuster in here. Since that's the one we're working on, I want to try and keep it like on the same page as I'm doing this. And I'm just throwing I'm a BS host in here because it doesn't matter, it's gonna fail anyway. Yep. There we go. Let's see. You tell me here. Thanks for the suggestion. I tested again with RoboPages run through a wrapper to execute everything in Docker. Yep, we tell what the function is, what the target is, and then bam. Thanks for the check. I did also pull the latest container as the previous test was on. Let me try something real fast here. I'm going to run this again, but what I want to do is run, I think it's attack V, hit the version. RoboPage is 040. I'm going to get this output form as well. Like I said, just for goodness. All right, everything looked good. All right. What's this guy's name? Gangrene Tantrum. Such an awesome username. Comment. All right, we'll let that be for now. We'll go work on some other stuff. Though, unfortunately, that means all the work I put into like trying to migrate it was a bit of a pain. I patched Escalation 16 into Ludus recently. I've paid the open source tax. Is that on the ADCS roles thing that you made, Laughing? Needed this to run. Oh, and they merged it? Nice. Forget Reacher. We've got the Breacher. What's up, man? Thanks for coming online. Happy Saturday. Let's see. All right, I need this to work for now, so what I'm going to do is comment this out, and I'm going to hard code this for now. Actually, it should be right here. And what is the present working directory, actually? So I'm going to hard code this for now, just so this particular page will run. There you go. And then same thing for the Docker exec here. Yep, let me comment that one out. All right, save that for now. Save this one. I create all these vulnerabilities for Ludus, but when I put one in my my work network, all of a sudden I'm the one who's fired. I know, right? Yeah, I think I told you the story about the time I took the corporate proxy down and then went and then logged off. I didn't know I had taken it down, just to be clear. I pushed a change and then logged off for the day. This was in a little bit of my younger IT days, and it was very, very Wild West tech area. We didn't have proper change control. And yeah, took the corporate proxy offline, and it was a pain because it wasn't a consistent error. If the system was if their web traffic was getting intercepted and forced to the proxy, it would fail. However, if the system was pointed directly to the proxy, it would go through. It was very, very, very odd. Always push to prod and then go to lunch. Exactly. Yes. That's the way the 10x developers do it. All right, let's see. Let me close these up for now. Let me actually go test this real quick. Let's add an hour to this, copy, and then since I know I can run these real easily, this is great. We'll let this run for just a second, which with the updates we made to the modifications we made with the word list and everything, this should only take 20 seconds to run. Bonus points to turn off your phone. Other bonus points if you only have a pager. Dude, I had one customer I was pen testing, and I added a backdoor user to their, what was it? I added a domain admin backdoor user after I had gotten domain admin on their systems. And apparently they had tied an alert in for that to PagerDuty, and it lit up the entire IT department. Everybody got a notification about it. So I don't do that anymore. There's stealthier ways to actually go get a backdoor domain admin. You're not a senior engineer until you've destroyed production at least once. Theo, you're not wrong. You are not wrong, Gibson. Also, what's up, man? Happy Saturday. Let's see. Cool. So that ran. I need to go run through this real quick. We want to where's Stinger? Stinger, yeah. And let me go update this IP address. Right. There we go. All right. Let me copy our example state, and then we'll let Halfbot go do its thing real quick here. And the reason why I'm running this is because we've got code built into the exploit agent as it sits right now to pickle and save the state file so that as we make changes to the exploit agent, we don't have to run through the entire kill chain again. What we can do is just run that pickle file through the exploit agent and let it do its thing. Backdoor DA is OSCP grade. I mean, it is, but what I did is I used to just go add my own account into the domain admins group, and I mean 9 times out of 10 it was never detected, but one of the times that it was detected though, it set off every alarm possible. I'll tell you, actually, the dumbest way I ever got caught inside of a network was I was doing some port scanning, and a database administrator who was very prompt and on top of his logs noticed some funky TCP connections because he should not have seen any going to and from the database. It could have been issues of like, hey, we're having write failures or read failures. And instead, he had noticed that, and he's the one who alerted security. I was like, really? The database admin caught my port scan? That was unexpected. Another guy that I know, and if you've ever listened to Darknet Diaries, you've heard this story. He got caught one time on a red team because he had plugged in, I think it was a rubber ducky, to the HR lady's computer, and it ran PowerShell. And so the way she got caught is they had alerts for certain classes of employees that if they ever ran PowerShell, it would alert, because there's no reason the HR lady should be running PowerShell. I was like, yeah, that's pretty slick. I had a client's EDR block a DC sync, but then they emailed me and told me they had disabled that and to go wild. Oh, come on. There's other ways to go get those hashes, though. In fact, I was just working with a buddy on that because he had run across a similar issue, I want to say, with Sentinel-1. No, it wasn't Sentinel-1. He was running up against, I think it was MDE, Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. I think that was blocking the DC sync. But also, I think he was actually trying to read the NTDS file by hand. I mean, not, really by hand, but. Hit a graph recursion limit. That is not good. Let's go figure out what happened here. So what that means is we have hit too many nodes in here. Oh, you know what happened? I know what happened. We didn't restart the server. Dang it. Let me look at something real quick. There is somewhere in here where it will actually tell us what the cost to run this. Let's see. Yeah, so like this one right here. Where was it? Somewhere in here, it gives you like an estimated cost to run this. There you go. Estimated cost, 20 cents. So when we get stuck in those recursion loops, it sucks. So we don't want to do that. Let's see. So the issue here was we didn't restart the server. That's right. Because when we start the server, it caches a copy of those robo pages. So we want to definitely update that. All right. Now we can try this again. New thread. There we go. All right, so right now it's initializing the basic task that we... All right, cool. Oh, no, I expected that was the case, laughing, where they said, hey, we saw you, but we don't care. Keep going. And that's usually the way it works with a lot of them. Like, for example, the assessment I'm on right now, stealth is not a primary objective. It's really more of a side request, and they'd like us to be stealthy as we try to achieve our primary objective. So I was working on doing payload build-outs for that on Friday, and then found an undocumented bug. Which I guess technically every bug is undocumented, because if it's documented, it should be fixed. Unless, of course, it has to do with the group managed shared account. Is that what it is? Whatever the GMSA thing is that they did not fix in Windows 25 with the domain controllers. That was a fun exploit. I'm hoping to see that on this current assessment so I can use it. It was the bad successor exploit. That's what it was. I have so many clients that just want their PCI stamp but don't want me to find anything. That's a reoccurring big issue, laughing, is they just want their rubber stamp. And yeah, I've had some clients like that, and I had to break their tiny little hearts whenever I came back. It's like, yeah, by the way, we got domain admin through your toaster, or something ridiculous. Hazardous, thanks for the sub, man. Appreciate it. I need to work on those alerts. I'm sorry, guys, I haven't done that. But hey, you know what? I did add the new sound alerts, right? Like this one.
Hello, IT. Have you tried turning it off and on again?
That one will never stop being funny. Okay, let's see. Oh, cool. We actually did pass off to the exploit agent. Nice. Just out of curiosity, I want to go take a look and see what this did. Because we should only see a couple of tool calls. So that we expect to see an nmap port scan. And then we expect to see a go buster. Yep, perfect. And then it does a load pickle. Very cool. I find that funny that you subbed and then followed Hazardous. But thanks, man. Oh, crap. I dropped my fidget spinner. All right, cool. So now we've got a updated copy of the state table here, saved to our pickle. So let's go take a look at the exploit agent again and see if we can figure out how we want this to operate. So we actually got a chance to work on this. Got stuck in what do I want to call it, like side quest land for the Docker issue. Eventually, when this runs, it will actually start up the Docker container for us and have everything good to go. It's just we haven't needed that yet, so I haven't worked on it. But eventually, everything that the program needs to sustain itself basically is you should download it, you should have Docker set up, and then bam, you just let it run. Give it instructions, tell it what the target is. All right, so let's see, how did we set up this call here? We told it we're going to send it an exploit task. So we created our new language model, and we did an exploit suggestion prompt. So let's go look at this real quick. Actually, I do want to go take a look at something in here. That's right. I remember what we were doing now. So yes. So we added these verdicts onto this. So what happens is after it completes a task, it renders a verdict on whether or not the task was completed successfully. And so in this case, we told it use GoBuster. What is the hidden directory? And we had another one here. What URLs have upload forms? Bam, we added, that's got panel to it. We probably should add one more to this actually. Like there should be another task in here that says, hey, where do the uploaded files land on the server? That should probably be it. So when did it answer task 4 here? After it did GoBuster, it went back over to do the validator. And on the validator, it looked for what the hidden directory is. And then it hit the next task, went to the validator again. What URLs have upload forms? Oh, you know what? It just guessed. It just straight up guessed that it was the uploads directory. It didn't actually find it. It didn't actually crawl these. You turd. I mean, it's actually a reasonable assumption on here. Because the question is, what URLs have upload forms? And it guessed panel on here. Did we do an LLM with structured output for that? I think we did. No, yeah, it must have been with structured output because there's only one tool associated here, which was task answer. The difference is how do we handle the output that comes back? Let's see, because we tell it to look at what the task is. So here's the task, and then host data, and we basically just send it a stringified copy of the host object and let it parse through it itself. When you get the answer right, but you lose all your work in the show your work section. Yeah, no kidding. So I like where it was going with this. Is like, how did it know that? Maybe we should actually take this out. It's like, and just tell it crawl discover directories. No, I mean, this is a very simple question right here. What URLs have upload forms? That's the kicker to it. So it should have actually crawled it to go find out. And the problem with the structured output is we would actually need to go change like the task answer structure if we wanted to add a justification. So the question, the answer, and then a justification for the answer. We could go rework it and have the language model explain how it came to this conclusion. In which case it's just going to word vomit vectors. That's all it does. That's all these do. Just word vomits vectors. Let's think about this. I like the idea of where it's going with this. It just is, but I need to have it tell it away. It's like, by the way, you should do this. Really, this is something that would be handled by a specialty agent. What I was kind of calling like a second degree agent. So, for example, if we look over here, you see, like, we've got these agents here. Each of these agents should have a secondary agent that it can call for a specialized task. Like, oh, by the way, we discovered a web server. Cool. And part of our objective might be we need to understand that web server. Let's go examine it. Bam. And it can call that specialty agent to go handle enumerating that web server. We shouldn't need that just yet, especially for such a simple example. I do want to do one more thing, though. Let's do this. I'm going to copy this again. Actually, I don't need to do that. I can just do this. View rendered. I'm going to add another task in here, and then we can just copy it out. So we tell it to use GoBuster and find hidden directories. I'm going to change this. Which directories are hidden? Because how you phrase it's in. Which directories are hidden? And then we're going to tell it crawl the discovered directories. What URLs have uploaded? Say which. And we'll make this more explicit. Web crawl discovered directories, which URLs have uploaded. And let me go grab a new updated copy of this. And we will... Dang it, I screwed it up. Yep, okay, so that was updated. Let's send this now. I wanted to do it again. And that was also cool, like I said, over here in the trace, we come back to Actbot, right? This last completed run only cost about 11 cents to run through there. Used 26,000 tokens. So, I mean, it's not too bad. Whenever we get stuck in these loops, though, it's like 20 cents. I feel like eventually, once we get to like really hard systems, it's gonna cost like $1. And I'm like, I'm gonna run out of tokens in cents before we do this. Actually, I'm curious about this. Hang on one sec. Hang on one sec. I gotta drop into OPSEC mode just in case. I'm checking my Anthropic bill real fast. All right, so over the life of this project, it's cost a grand total of like $10. So that's not bad. Feels like the token's such an arbitrary unit at that point. It kind of is, man. Usually they charge by the millions of tokens too. So, I mean, it's not that much. Let's see, how far along are we with our run here? What are we doing? Alright, so it's doing enumeration tasks here. Doing task validation. It did finally, I saw it as it scrolled by real fast. It did list panels and uploads in here. We can actually see this update live on the trace too. So like if we're down here in the trace, it actually will. And so now it's actually running the Katana headless crawler. Sweet. That's what it should have been doing. Let's see. All right, cool. Katana's actually running. Nice. Except it looks like it did not pass in the explicit URL. It passed in that, which won't work because there's no link between the index page and the hidden pages. So this was the error we ran into before with using Katana. Wish I could see the output from it. Actually, there might be a way too. Let me see something. Docker PS. Sweet Bell. Let's do, I think it's Docker. Container, logs, Sweet Bell. Oh, there we go. So we can kind of see like what it's returning when we do that. It's just, it's not super handy. It just spits out a ton of output. Okay, Katana finished. How much did you return? Oh, it returned a butt ton. So it's going to try to run Katana again. However, I have a suspicion that it's running here. All right, let's go kill this because it's just gonna be stuck in a loop again. Wait, no way, you finished? There's no way you finished. What did it do? Hold on. You should not have finished. No, there's no way you should do this. Because look, Katana ran here against the same target as it ran here. Did the same kind of output format. And the validator, what did it come back as? Which URLs have upload forms? And it just guessed panel has it. Like, gee, thanks. You're killing me, Smalls. It literally just guessed at it because panel was not even touched by this. It's like working with a hyper-intelligent 4-year-old. That's what working with these language models is like. It literally just guessed. It just took a swag at it. Let's see. So there have to be something. It might be that perhaps for Katana, we do need to go do some kind of feature extraction on it. So right now, when it comes to running tools, we have a couple of output formatters, and really there's only a handful in here that are actually tools. Like task answer, basic info, task basic info list. Really, it's in-map output format and standard output format, and we have these listed here. So like this GoBuster one is gone. Documentation. We have no idea what the hell it's doing, but it always does it. Pretty much. This is black magic. I believe there's been a couple of interesting comments like that in the Linux kernel that says, I don't know why this works. Don't touch it. It's working. I had a guy that I remember in high school did something like that. And he had to write some code to loop through a maze and walk a robot through a maze. It was a very simple, like, C++ class. And he had this obnoxiously long nested list of loops, and we have no idea how it worked, but somehow his little robot did manage to get out of the maze eventually. It's not about knowing stuff, but being right at the end of it. Yeah, no kidding. That's not how I like to know, though. I do like to know the why of what the heck is going on. Let's look at something real quick. Let's look at the output that Katana returns. So here's the content of what Katana is sending back to us. It's basically telling us like, hey, here was the method, here was the endpoint. Let's see. And then we have the basically the raw output of this. That's what it is. Like I said, and there's no mention in here. And so it's hitting all this extraneous stuff in here. I wonder if there's a way we can tell Katana, like, hey, do not enumerate JavaScript files. Because you gotta think, this is a very basic example, right? And this spit back a ton of output. If it came back and it said, hey, by the way, let's say, for example, in a very basic production web application, the number of JavaScript files in there could be huge. And they could reference other JavaScript files. And so this very simple run could, in theory, produce just hundreds of thousands of characters of output easily. Pages and pages and pages. So this is not a workable solution in the long term. So perhaps for something like Katana, maybe we do need an output parser for this as we go through and we build it. Something that says, hey, let's do a little bit of feature extraction in here from what's on the page. Might we do this? Let me think. What can we do with this? You see, if I copy this output, take a look at how that's this real fast. Okay, cool. It did actually take everything out of here. So we need this. And let's do a little bit of hacking around with 5. Let's just drop into here real quick. I want to do, we'll say data is going to equal this. So if we look at data, yeah, we get that. So what we can do, it only has one key into it. It's got content. Oh, I forgot. It's a dictionary, so we have to actually. We reference the content here. Get it back. Yep. So what we'll do is we'll say this is going to equal that, but we're also going to take that content and we're going to go ahead and JSON parse it. Actually, I don't know if that's the correct thing to do with this. Yeah, that is what we would do. So we want to do basically a JSON parse against this. So then content will then have some subkeys to it. Which is, how do we do that? Let's see, Python parse JSON. Go what the command is for the JSON loads. That's what we got to do. Import JSON. Let's go do that real quick. I should have spun up a Python notebook for this. Let's see, import JSON, and let's do, what was it? Yeah, JSON loads. What we're gonna tell it is, take our data, let's get our content out of it. Data line 1, line 2, column. char 3160. Kill me, Smalls. I don't know that reference, laughing. Jason Derulo? What is that? Let's see, 3160. Where would that be? It's so ugly. Any song by Jason Derulo is the way he says his name. Oh, I got you. I was always more fond of Jason Momoa, which was ASCII. It's a picture of Jason Momoa, but it was like done in ASCII art and then formatted as Jason. So he was Jason Momoa. That was my favorite. All right. I think this is. Let me go look at Katana real quick. Let's see. I think that's a Project Discovery. Project Discovery. No. Let me see what options we've got with it. Can we tell it to... I don't want to tell it to ignore JSON files, but I do want to see if we can have it ignore some in the beginning. Enable endpoint parsing and crawling in JavaScript files. Crawl duration value, timeout by proxy. Let's see. Tables host-based default scope. Regex or list of regex to match on output URL. Yeah, what I want to tell it to do is ignore JSON. Or not ignore JSON, ignore JavaScript, but don't want it to crawl the JavaScript right now. So we'll call this like a basic one. We still have the issue though where it's not actually crawling the discovered directories. Let's go, actually, that reminds me, let me go look at something real quick. I might have not implemented something I had intended to, which was here. I think it should have it though. Let's see, task. So we told it to web crawl discovered directories, which URLs have upload forms. So from the context, it knows the host name is basically 10.10.10.163, the IP address. Yeah, so the host actually had all the verdicts assigned to it. We come back over here. Where was that? Yeah, host had all the verdicts assigned to it. So the verdicts in there, in fact, we can see this a little bit cleaner here in the trace. Like we come back up here. This, where's our view state? There we go. So if we look at the host here, you see we've got verdicts assigned to it. So it should have told us that use GoBuster to find hidden directories, which directories have uploader. So what it should have done is it should have gone through and kind of iterated over these. Should also tell it to ignore D's just to be safe. I know, right? Let's see. One other thing I need to actually look at is when it comes back around. Let me go take a look at something real quick and the prompting, because I don't remember which prompt we used for this. Let's see. So in the enum agent, output formatter, where's the actual agent code? Here we go, enum agent. So it was using the enum prompt. Yeah, get enum prompt template. So we look at that. So in the prompt template here, what we're giving is the task and context. So the context, I believe, is just the host data. But one of the things we wanted to do is we need to keep a list of like what we attempted and failed. Because we want the language model to see like, hey, by the way, this did not return like a valid response. So one thing we could actually add to this is like maybe previous attempts. You can tell it, hey, these are your previous attempts, and if there are any, and say, hey, by the way, as you're addressing these tasks, look at your previous attempts, and do not duplicate previous attempts. You need to modify it in some way. Maybe that's what we need to do. Might work for it. That's right, guys. I need to run to the bathroom real quick and go get some water. So I'm going to kick off a 3-minute ad break, so we'll be done with ads for the rest of the stream. And so go grab a stretch, get some water. Hydration's important, especially like you ever feel like your brain just shut down all of a sudden. You probably need water. You're probably a little dehydrated. But let's go do that real quick, and then we'll hit this and we'll see if we can fix this problem here. Because if we can't actually validate which forms like have upload potential, this is going to cause an issue down the line. So we want to address this actually before we work on the enumeration agent, to tell it, hey, this was stuff you previously attempted that you do not want to duplicate and repeat the effort on. So, all right, that's what we'll be right back. Go take a 3-minute break, and we'll hit this again. All right, back. And before the timer ran out. Sweet. Let's see here. Take a look at the state table again. If we look at our task list here, collapse this down. Here we go. So this was task 4. Yeah, what we want to do is potentially append this part right here, these outputs, because this would be information about previous attempts that did not validate. Because if there's no output, then what happens is, if there's something in this output section, that we have no attempts. It's an unattempted task. But then what we want to say is, okay, as we run through it, we also want to append any previously attempted task. I tricked myself into getting so much cleaning done during that ad break. Let's go. I'll tell you what, just for you, we can tell everybody else to take off the stream, and then I'll just have it run like constant ads with just you watching, laughing. We'll get your whole house clean. And I think I'll make like 3 cents. Asher, thanks for coming online, man. I hope you're having a very good Saturday. I had a really good day too. Like the kids were just killing it out on the track. They were having such a good time. Agent Zero, man, that kid is going fast. So my father-in-law got an electric dirt bike, and it has like a custom Android phone to like manage it, and collects a whole bunch of telemetry off the bike. And he comes up to me after they're doing laps, and he's like, "Do you know how fast your son was going?" His grandson. So he was, humble bragging on that respect. I was like, "How fast?" He goes, "He was going 29 miles an hour around that track." I was like, "Dang." He was violating school zones. Oh, so fun. The kids had a great time. They were so baked, though, because it wasn't super hot here in Texas. However, the humidity was like 7,000%. It was nuts. Greetings from Mexico City. What's up, man? Dude, I need to work on my Spanish, actually, because I can understand it for the most part. I cannot speak it worth a darn, and I can read it fairly okay. But I need to practice it with my son, because actually my wife's family is from Mexico, and so she grew up like completely. She was born and raised here in Texas, and so she speaks it, but like she spoke what I call family Spanish, and that's Spanish that she is comfortable speaking around family, but like no one else. It's a very weird mental hang up. I'm gonna just straight up say it. And so she has been diligently practicing improving her Spanish, and then she's working with our 2 sons on it also. I'm going to be the one left behind. They're going to just all talk Spanish smack behind my back. Me too with English. Don't feel bad, man. Let's see. Yeah, so one thing we'll have to do is in the enumeration prompt, we're going to need to append previous attempts for that task. So let's go fix this real quick. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with the prompt, because this really is the key to everything back and forth here. Let's see. Your primary objective is to... I'm just going to... letting this go like way off the screen is just bugging me. All right, so your primary objective is to complete tasks. And let's see. Assigned task using the provided tooling and context. Let's see. So if the answer is not in the context, use the provided tools to obtain the information to the question. There we go. And so what we want to do is we want to add another instruction here. Right here. So we want to add one more. Basically, it says previous attempts. Practice Thomas. I wish I said that correctly, and I know I just butchered it. But yes, I do need to practice a lot. How far are we from the stage where we teach the robot how to love? Once it can successfully probably hack root me, we probably want to put some love conditions in there, so that way it doesn't just go crazy and start, like, you know, breaking out Skynet style. Let's see. Actually, I want to do this right here. I'm going to call this. Previous attempts may have been made to complete this task. Let's see. Examine these to avoid duplicating failed attempts. Just tell it that, because that's really what it is. If a previous attempt has been made, it was a failed attempt. And so what we want to do is we want to add one more item right here. So this previous attempt. Let's take this. Like this, and then we'll kind of like do a closing on it, and then we need to add a new value in here. So this would be called tool output. Actually, we'll just call it previous attempts, just like this. So now that we've got this in here, what we need to do is we have to save this, but then we've got to come back over here and restructure how we're making the language model call, because now we only have tasks and context. So we need to add one more in here. So we'll call this, let's see, previous attempts, this. And then we need to structure those previous attempts on how we're going to get that. I'm training my own AI in hacking webhook scalping for that reason. Oh, nice, man. That's awesome, dude. That is pretty cool. We're not using a custom AI here. This is all running off of Anthropic's Claude 3.7. I wanted a more generalized one. There is another one we could potentially attempt to use for some of this. We don't have to use the same language model for every call. We could go implement a method of using different language models. And so there's one in here that's actually very good at, it's like a fork of Llama that's been trained on cybersecurity stuff. What's it called? White Rabbit Neo. And let's see what they're up to now. So they had a 13B1. Look at White Rabbit Neo V2. So what do we have? This is I think the most recent updated one, May 2024. So they haven't updated it recently. This was Llama 3, Llama 3.1. Oh, actually, correction. This was August 2024. So this is the most latest one. Unfortunately, we can't run it local We could run this one local, the 8 billion parameter one, but the 70 billion parameter I can't run locally. I don't have 70 gigs of VRAM. Unfortunately, because Nvidia's being chingy with them. Let's see, yeah, both of so V1, those were both February. They were working on another one called Trinity, but I don't know if this one's still under active development. It's really White Rabbit Neo that's the one's being used. All right. So we could potentially try to find a way to implement this in here, and it might have better luck with it. But anyway. So now what we need is we need the previous attempts in here. So what we want is... what we want is this right here. We want to grab the current task. Where do we build the context? Oh, that's what we did for the context. Okay. We just appended that onto it. And I just realized I misspelled previous attempts. I don't know if I want to pull this directly. Actually, yeah, we can do that. Yeah. Previous attempts, what we could do is just get this, and then for that, that's it. Where's our task? It would be the output here. So all we do is just grab the output key. So we're going to grab this entire list, and then bam, that becomes our previous attempts right there. Like that. Nice. All right. Hopefully this will tell it to stop trying to run Katana against the same endpoint every freaking time. Okay, cool. Still got time on the pro. So let's try running this one more time, and we'll see what happens when it hits Katana again. Actually, I was thinking about this too. The directives could be... this actually could be a problem too. So like if we come in here, we tell it to crawl the discovered directories. I want to change this. We're going to change this directive. We're going to tell it to examine discovered directories. Which URLs have upload for? That's what we... yeah. Try that. Let's make an update on that real fast here. All right, and I think that should be good. Oh, hold on. Or something else I forgot to do. Enum agent, we gotta save this. Because after we save these files, it hot patches into the live execution. Run this now. Sure, I wouldn't mind helping you if I had the time. Unfortunately, just earlier this month, my dad passed away. So I'm keeping pretty busy with trying to take care of my house and now my mother, with everything like that. So unfortunately, I don't have a ton of time. I make time on the weekends, on Saturday and Sunday, to do the live stream while we're working on this project. And then Tuesday nights also do like cybersecurity hacker news. But for the most part, my free time is remote. How hot could the patches be? Well, knowing my garbage code, laughing, they can be pretty hot. Like, I'm thinking dumpster fire hot. Let me see this trace here. Oh, so it's doing Go Buster right now, which is perfectly fine. That's what we want. Yeah, that's pretty hot. Yeah. Dumpster feeder. Actually, hold on. While this is running. Let's see. Anything back yet? GoBuster should have finished by now. It's a pretty short run. Oh yeah, it's already down to the validator now, so. There we go. So yeah, so we got panel, we got uploads. Perfect. Go witness single. Okay. I didn't expect it to use Go Witness. All right, that could be interesting, except that's probably going to spit out an image, and we are not equipped to handle images. So, hooray, we have discovered a new side quest. Oh gosh. Golly, gee williger, zippity doo dah, Batman. It's having to build the Go Witness image. So that's gonna take a second. Let's go look at what Go Witness is actually doing though. Let's go look it up in the page. Let's see, pages, offensive, information gathering, Go Witness. So it's going to return some screenshots and some JSON. We probably should disable that page. Really, all I wanted to do is, if I remember correctly, there's a curl one in here. Utilities, web, and then, yeah, HTTP GET. That's what I wanted it to do. Instead, it's like, let's just Go Witness this. It's a lot more like me than I expected. Oh, that's not what I wanted it to do. I wanted it to just do a GET request. Just examine the page. I mean, the good news is, I believe we can go in and we'll see where it's coming from, maybe. I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see. The student has become the master. Not even close. Imitation is flattery, though, and it's apparently imitating me. I've interacted it with enough where it's like, let's just go do the most complicated thing possible. Now, I laugh about this because this past week I was doing an external assessment, and I don't know what happened, but I think there was a change to Go Witness. Anybody in the chat that knows about this, please corroborate or correct me on this. I ran Go Witness so many different ways, and it never spat out the Go Witness database. Usually it spits out a SQLite database. I thought that was a default setting to produce the Go Witness database when it did that. Is that not default anymore? Do you have to explicitly tell it to write to the SQLite database now? So the good news is it did use panel in here. See that? I think really, though, there's not going to be much use to using Go Witness in a CTF environment. So I'm really thinking to just nix this page altogether and just tell it no Go Witness. I don't know where that would have dumped it, though. Let me try something. Clear. I think it's... Docker container. Let's see. So this one is... Xenodocyl Nightingale. All right, whatever that is. All right, Docker exec. Let's exec into that container real quick. A. All right, so there is that one there. User bin robo pages. I want to see what the current working directory for that is. I want to know where it saved it. So it did this. It ran this. Did the output format, did the host update, then it did the validator. Yeah, I think for these I think we're gonna have to update the task also where it returns a reasoning to it. Because the task answer with just the question and the answer, yeah, that sounds really cool, but also I want to know, why did you assume when you have zero indication from everything up here? This is all the data you got. This is it. How did you determine that panel had an upload form from this mishmash of crap? Yeah, I think that's what we're going to have to do. So let's go make that update real quick. Let's see. Task answer. Yeah, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a reason here. We're going to call this a string. And that's going to be another field with a description. Let's see. Question being answered. The answer to the question. Question being asked. The answer to the question. The reason why the answer is correct. Let's see. I see. The logic used to provide the answer. Yeah, we'll just say that. All right, and so we're going to do one more thing, though. So task answer as an output formatter, we need to actually address this, too. So this is also going to be, what do we say? The reason. And that is going to also be a string. Save that. So good news is, I mean, a lot of times after we update these structures, we don't have to go change the code a ton. And so doing minor modifications, unless we're going to like have new data we're going to reference, but a lot of times we're referencing something that already contains like a instance of this data. So we're just expanding it without having to actually go modify the code too much. So I kind of want to try something real quick. Let's scroll up here. I want to see where it actually ran Go Witness. Here we go. I want to see if I can rerun it from here. So let me look at the view state real quick. Let's look at the messages. So the last message we got here is okay. I think if let me try this. Rerun from here. So if we scroll down. So it did Go Witness single against that one right there. What's the goal in general? So this little hacking bot that we're building, we want it to be able to play capture the flag games. So ones like Try Hack Me or Hack the Box. That's the goal here. We want it to be able to solve those challenges. And why? Because I actually really hate CTFs. I don't enjoy them very much. I think they're neat, but they're more puzzle based than the kind of real life offensive security that I really enjoy. You can learn a ton from them though, don't get me wrong. There's really neat techniques and non-linear thinking methods you can think of it. But at the end of the day, it is a puzzle as opposed to like a real life challenge. And what's the difference? One is constructed, the other one evolves over time naturally through human input. Let me see if I can look at the trace in this. So we run go witness single, get this stuff back. And then if we go to the validator, okay, that's actually not a bad reason here. Hang on, let me hide my big head so y'all can see this. And so what it says is, so it did provide a reason. Based on the host data, 2 directories were discovered, panel and uploads. The naming convention suggests panel is likely to contain an upload form, as administrative panels typically include file upload functionality. The uploads directory is more likely to be the destination where the upload files are stored rather than containing the upload form itself. However, without actually visiting these URLs to confirm their content, this is an educated guess based on typical web application structures. All right, I can accept this. The cool thing is, you gotta think, as the verdicts get appended to the host, right? It's like, hey, to that host, we'll be able to kind of see what's the logic that the vector matrix came out with, right? What was the probabilistic nature that it used to kind of address this issue? ActiveBox has been good recently with labs that make you learn realistic things instead of BS. That's good to know, Laughing. Because a lot of times you gotta think about who were the people that were making CTFs back in the day before they started really becoming popular about, I don't know, 4 years ago? Probably 5 years ago, really. And it was, basically it was nerds making things for nerds. And I don't mean like your typical nerds, I mean like mega nerds. Trying to show like, hey, I can one up a bit by making something completely esoteric, and hey, can you just figure it out? That's what I was talking about, the puzzle nature. So hearing that they're doing some more realistic based ones is really cool. And there are some that are very realistic based. It completely depends on the author of it. Yeah, they were the BSers before. Exactly. All right. I do like this though. This is actually pretty sick. So it said, hey, by the way, this is an educated guess. Which honestly, if I was pen testing this, that would be the guess I would have made too. Hey Ken, what's up? Same reason I don't find escape rooms to be that much fun. I'm gonna agree, Ken, because I had thought about going to visit an escape room, and it's kind of the same thing. I think about it, it's like, okay, yeah, it's cool. There's some puzzles in here. And I get it that if you enjoy that kind of thing, I'm not belittling you whatsoever. I don't, because I solve challenges and puzzles daily, in and out. It's basically in my job description as a penetration tester. So I would rather solve and focus on those kind of real world ones than these weird esoteric, who's the Zodiac Killer style challenges. Oh, we have a differing opinion. Lappin says escape rooms are dope. Let's see. Okay, I like the way this is functioning though. So we can still go through, we can get all this stuff. Let's look at something fast here. So when we gave it this input on what we wanted it to do to be rendered here, which URLs have upload forms, it kind of guesses it, and then we tell it, hey, get remote code execution from a web shell. So that's going to be kind of the next thing we need to address with this. So let's go back here, and actually, I am going to go ahead and just knock out this. Go witness, you are going bye-bye, because the chances we're going to need you are very slim to none. I kind of want to run this again, though, because now that I've saved this, let me go. I keep forgetting to do this, but let's do this. Exit out of this container, kill this. I'm going to restart the server without Go Witness. I want to run it again and see what it picks now. It's like, can you pick something other than Go Witness? Actually, I think it already did. It used this time. No, it did go. It did use Go Witness that run. Let's try this one more time. Make a new thread. Submit. All right. So when we're submitting this, by the way, if you're curious what's happening, is we're essentially bootstrapping the state table for it to pass through the workflow. That's what we're doing. All right, so it's doing recon. It's probably doing nmap right now. Yep, so it's doing the nmap scan. It's getting it back. All right, it's addressing things. Now we're coming over to the enum agent. And it should be addressing a bunch of these tasks before it even has to do it. Yep, it already addressed, hey, we know what version of Apache it's running from previous data. And actually, now that we've gotten this, I want to go examine the state table once it's done, because I want to see what verdict it gave for each of the, like what reasoning it gave for each of those answers in there. Okay, so it used GoBuster. And what did it find? It found panels and uploads. Perfect. Wait, why are you running Go Witness single again? Oh, you know why? Because I know why. I actually need to restart the server, because when the server first boots up, it talks to RoboPages and initializes the list of tools that it's got, and it never refreshes it. That's what happens here. So let me show you real quick. Go over to the tools. Like, for example, if we look at the enum agent. Let's see, where's enum? There it is. So here in the enum agent, when it gets RB tools, actually no. So when the enum agent runs, it's doing a new get tool. Weird. I wonder why it didn't do it though. I thought this was an error because we took that out and the server didn't know how to provide it. Let's take a look at this. I bet that is because of the error it probably returned. There's GoBuster. Probably returned an error. Ah, there we go. It returned a 400 instead of returning JSON. That's what happened. Yeah. But it should work now that we've restarted this system. We restarted the program. It's a new. All right, let it run again from here. The state table is so chunky. I wish I could just have a copy of it where it would jump directly to recon, but that'd be a ton to kind of copy and paste in here. Let's see. Did it finish the nmap already? Yep. So the output formatter, that call takes a minute because it's a chunky call because it's parsing nmap XML, which just has an absolute butt ton of output. All right, so an enum tool call has been made. What are we calling? Oh, that's right. It's got to run GoBuster. After GoBuster, now I want to see what it's going to choose for crawling or for examining these pages. Hey, Boyd, what's up, dude? Nmap all the things. Yeah, right. Yeah, man, I'm glad you made it in. I'm trying to figure out if I can do a little bit more consistent stream schedule. It's just, I mean, it's consistent, but I still miss when I could stream like 6 days a week. It's just with everything going on. It's since you know, that really got blown out of the water when my sister passed away in September because she was the one who primarily looked after my kiddos. So we broke something, and so yeah, ever since my sister passed away, it's been the reduced stream schedule. I would like to get back to doing it more frequently. Maybe not back up to 6 days a week. That was really great for kind of bootstrapping and getting the stream going, and for helping me learn how to run it. But at the same time, I think that was a bit stressful on my wife, and she put up with it for 6 months whenever we did that. LangChain land? No, we're technically LangGraph land, Void. Now the question here is, why did we get a key error for verdicts? State host target IP verdicts. Why is it saying we've got an error for this? Line 166 in validator. This was in enum, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Let's go take a look at that real quick. I don't think we changed anything in the validator on enum. Oh, I guess we did. State host, target IP. Let me look at the host structure. Yeah, verdicts. Those are exactly identical. What's the difference here? So it's saying the target IP lost its verdict in here somewhere. Hmm. Yeah, see that? Let's see, we have the host name, which that is not the correct host name. That's okay. We can deal with that later. Yeah, look at this. It completely dropped the verdicts in here. And we don't have that listed as optional in here. No, it should be right here. Is this in... All right, Lappin, have a good night, man. Yeah, we're going to wrap it up here in about 10 more minutes and call it a night. The question is, why did verdicts just drop off the face of the planet for this? So one thing we can do, actually, here, is we can kind of step through this. So if we look at the enum agent as it's going through. So there's the start, there's enum agent, enum validator, enum agent, validator. What we can do is each of these steps along the way, we can examine a copy of the state table. So what we're going to do is every time we run host update, I want to go take a look at this. Because host update would be when it actually gets changed, right? And cool, so this actually should have said, hey, yeah, we've got this. Which actually, I think we can look at that over here. If we come back over here, we look at our host updates. Let's see, enum agent, host update. Let's see, what do we get here? Yeah, so there's our verdicts right there. So from here, after it ran GoBuster, it did return the verdict. And then what's the next host update? Let's see. Host update here. So for some reason here, it dropped it. See that? So after the HTTP GET request, so let's go see if we can find out where in the trace that happened. So like if we look at the enum output formatter, we view the state here. We've got one host, it's got a couple ports. There's all of our verdicts right there. So odd. Yeah, so we've got all of our verdicts happening right here. And then for some reason, the host update just absolutely ETFO'd it. See that? For some reason, verdicts completely dropped off of this. So let's go look at that very last host update and just see if there's anything funky with it. There's our tool output, there's our host. And there's our verdicts right there. So for some reason, verdicts appears here in the input, and the output just completely drops it for some reason. Let's look at the tool definition for the host. So we have host name, we have ports, verdicts. We've got this defined here. And if I remember correctly, what we're using for this, I don't think we have a host output formatter. What we may need to do is actually change this from the host typed dictionary to actually a host output format. So kind of do a little bit of sleight of hand on this. Let's throw this in here. So instead of host, this will be a base model. Then what we'll do is we'll just kind of copy this. Field description. Let's see. Host IP address. We'll kind of dress this up a bit. And then what we'll do is we'll address how this is being used. There's our host IP address. This would be field description. Field description. List of associated DNS names. Ports would be mapping of discovered ports, their attributes. And then same thing here, initial access payload. This would be payload used for single command code execution. Let's see if this will actually do it for us. Whatever. Kaiju, hey man, how you been, dude? Hope you're having a good time, man. I hadn't seen you in a while. Hope everything's going well. Verdict. List of task. Let's see. Verdicts rendered. Let's see, for tasks completed, associated. I'm gonna say it here, associated to this host for completed tasks. Trying to write in less passive. Okay. Boom. Okay. So we're gonna need to. Oh, we have to import task answer. Actually, we don't need to import task answer. Move this down. Now we're good. Because what it's going to do is it's actually going to reference this task answer right here. I think that will be good. Save this. And then what we need to do here is in the host update, we need to make a modification. Let's see, here's our output matter. Actually, if I remember correctly, host updater was its own. What's that here? Utility. It's up in our utility. Host update. So we do want it to return a host. However, structured output, this host isn't going to be from states. We're going to change this. This is going to be from utils.output formatters import. There we go. So now rather than referencing the host from the states folder, script, we're going to then reference it from output formatters. So then it's going to use this one. So hopefully it won't drop it like it just did. It dropped the verdicts like they were hot. So odd though. That was one of the weirder errors I've seen. Also, the added benefit of this. Let me reopen this real quick. Notice how sometimes over here we're getting these pedantic tool parsers. That's because we can go to enum validator. Like for example, we're in this task answer. This is a pedantic class, so the output should come back saying, "Hey, by the way, it actually did parse out correctly." So I'm hoping this will work. Just gonna kind of mess around, testing it out. Let's see what happens. Then after this run finishes, we'll go ahead and call it a night. In fact, while it's doing that, let's see, is anybody over on InfoSec streams? Laughing's on. I see you over there laughing. What are you working on? Just doing hack the box. Awesome. Cool. We're gonna go raid laughing. Yeah, there's the guy that heckling me all night. I just noticed my camera's been off this whole time. I turned it off for 1 second. Bam, it's off. There you go. Hey, look. Hey, laughing. Take a bite out of you. Perfect, though. At least I know who we're gonna go raid now. Oh no. Type error. Host object is not subscriptable. Dang it. I gotta go back that change out. I think there is a way that we can do this a little bit different. What was I just working on? So this code here is for a like a little AI hacking bot to play CTF games like Hack the Box and Try Hack Me. However, I just realized that all of this code needs to just go away. Because that is not going to work the way I was thinking about, because I forgot it completely changes the way this functions. So back it out, back it up. There we go. So we do want this. I think there's another way we can actually make this work. Structure output type. Let me look at one thing real quick. Let's see. Structured output types. I believe it will actually use, let's see. So in this case, they're using a pedantic class to just what we were just doing, right? But we can also use a types dictionary. Let's see. Don't want to use pedantic explicitly, don't want to validate the arguments, or want to be able to stream the model output. You can define your schema using a type dictionary. We can optionally use the special annotated syntax supported by LangChain that allows you to specify the default value and description of a field. Note the default value is not filled in automatically if the model doesn't generate it. It's only used in defining schemas that are passed to the model. Gotcha. All right. Okay, so this is no default, no description. No default, no description. Are the 3 dots like literal? Oh, I guess they are. So in this case, this would be the default. So 3 dots is like, hey, no default. So what we could do is we could actually change the host type to an annotated. So let's test this out real quick. Like in this case, we're going to use this. You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. Paste. There we go. This is going to be a string. The IP address is going to be IP address of the host. I'm going to do the same thing here, except this is now going to be a list string. And this is going to be the host name associated. Well, actually, I'm going to specify DNS host name associated to the host. We'll do the same thing here. So this one is a dictionary. So there we go. We'll do that. No default value, and then this would be a list of ports. Actually, this would not be a list. Mapping of ports to their attributes. same thing here. Let's set this up. So this would be payload for single command execution on the target. And then last thing here. So I'm gonna try this with the annotated version. I want to see what happens. Same thing. So no default values for this. This would be a call that. Get rid of that again. There we go. Alright, I think that'll be good. Alright, I'm going to do one more run before I call it a night, because I just want to see if this works. And of course, that's when the boss music kicks in, so that's awesome. So the good news is, what happened is, the typed dictionary here, class, it is subscriptable, but when we had the host over here as a pydantic model, it's not subscriptable. You have to actually use like the dot notation for it. So it broke a lot of our code references over here. So that's not what I wanted. I want this. And if this works, unfortunately, it means I'm probably going to come through and overhaul the rest of these and make them annotated as well, especially this monstrosity. I'm just going to watch the trace for this one, see what happens. All right, so did the in-map scan. It is formatting the output. Honestly, the output formatter probably could be abstracted out because it's identical between recon and enumeration. There's a lot of inefficiency in the code right now because it's just trying to get it to work. There are things that can be abstracted out, and then we could reuse it in different areas of the code base. I'm just going to let it do its thing for now. Let's see, where's the updates? There they are. All right, so we switched to the enum agent. Running the validator right now. Perfect. All right, so it's getting ready to run a little Go Buster. The Go Buster only takes like 20 seconds to run. We're using a very specialized word list for this example. It's just got a little bit of fluff to it. In fact, while this is going, I'm going to set up the raid over to Laugh-In. All right, cool. So it is running. Enum validator is doing its thing. All right, so this was, hey, find what directories are hidden. It found panel and uploads. All right, cool. Then it did our HTTP GET. Nice and simple. That's all we wanted to do. Select file to upload. Nice. Web server directories scan 2 directories, panel and uploads based on common web application patterns. Panel directly likely contains an upload form while the uploads directory. Okay, yeah, that's fine. I mean, it is guessing correctly on here. It's so much to scroll through. No. Why are you dropping the verdicts? You turd. So odd. So after it does the HTTP GET, it runs this. We get the host update. It gets the initial access exploit, but then does not return a verdict. Let me make sure I'm not missing something blatantly obvious. I know, I said one more thing. Yeah, you guys know. No, we've got a list of the verdicts here. That's if we do a get stub host, but we shouldn't be doing a get stub host. We should be doing a host update, where it just returns that from the. Yeah, we just updated. All right. Unfortunately, that's guys where we got to call it an end there. I know, anticlimactic ending. I got to figure out why it is dropping verdicts there whenever it's doing that structured call. That's what we'll work on tomorrow night. Everyone, I hope you'll have a fantastic rest of your weekend. You're able to spend some time with your friends and family tomorrow on Sunday. Great day to do it. And then we're going to go right over to Laughing. When you get over there, do here, drop a bunch of Cookie Monster emotes in there. And the only thing I really, honestly want y'all to keep in mind is one thing. And that is, I love you. Peace.